Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the TV Pilot's License with service to the woods of Seattle, Washington. We ask that you please fasten your headphones, secure your podcasting device, and remember, if you would like to get a beverage on today's flight, instead of using the call button, make sure to look at your flight attendant directly in the eye and say, "Yo, let's get some juice down here. Sup? Everyone taking stupid pills around here? Juice me."
Welcome to the TV Pilot's License. My name is Geoff Kerbis, joined by Rich Inman and Max Singer. How you boys doing today?
Oh, we're all landing in the woods around Seattle, Washington? I didn't know this. We finally switched to the DB Cooper podcast.
Oh my god, Max, how are you?
I am naked and slimy, but that's just how I film this podcast.
Oh my god. Well, boys, for the audience, if you have not looked at the title of what you are listening to, we are reviewing what I can only describe as a show that got multiple seasons called Kyle XY. But before we dive too deeply into me questioning my sanity, Max, do you mind telling folks what this podcast is all about?
Here at TV Pilot's License, we break down and analyze the pilot episodes of some of TV's most famous, or in some cases, infamous shows. We learn a little bit more about how these shows came to be and were originally made, if they're effective pilot episodes and making us want to watch more, and if we think they can be made today. Go back and stream our old episodes from wherever you listen to podcasts. Check us out on YouTube and TikTok to see our smiling faces. And if it is your first time flying with us, then welcome aboard.
And Rich, what is your question of the week?
Yeah, so this one starts off in a very mysterious way, as we've alluded to, with our main character, who I guess is named Kyle, waking up naked in the woods as if it was his birth. And I would love to know if you are experiencing a teen waking up in the woods, what is your first course of action, and how are you going about figuring out what to do with you?
Max, I'm curious because when Rich texted you this, you said, "I have my answer," within like 5 seconds.
Well, the original question was, if you came across the naked individual, what would you do? And that's
what I meant. That's what I meant.
Oh. So
Sorry.
I'm not the naked teen. I'm encountering the naked teen.
You're encountering, because I looked in both of your eyes and I'm like, you're encountering a naked teen boy in the woods. I'm like, this is not going well already.
I'm glad this is recorded because that's going on TikTok as the clip.
Rich, I just want to clarify, which playbook am I going from? Playbook A, where I am a naked teenager, or playbook B, where I'm encountering a naked teenager?
This feels like I'm going to end up on Andy Cohen's couch asking why I got the villain edit from Jeff.
I think you're going to end up in Kendrick's newest diss track, in all honesty, but Max,
Richie.
Max, you are encountered by a naked teen.
God,
what are you doing?
He's coming after indie podcasters now. There's no hope. He's ruthless. I am simply turning and walking away. It is not my business as to why you are naked in the woods. I want no part of that. I know to mind my business, mind my P's and Q's, and keep to myself. I am turning around and walking back. I don't need to finish that hike that bad.
Rich, I thought about this a lot, and I want to go back to our advice that we gave during the Workin' Moms podcast about how to deal with bears. I am going to get as large as I can and just scream at the naked teen to hopefully scare them away.
If their hair is brown, lie down. If their hair is black, fight back.
Yeah, exactly. You better hope that they have black hair. That is... I was just like, what is the way that I don't end up on a list? And I think that's the best way possible for me.
Here's what I'm doing. I'm going with a little thing called shirt pants. There's something really wrong with one fully clothed person and one naked person walking out of the woods. There's a lot less wrong with two half naked people walking out of the woods.
So I have some questions. I have a lot of questions, Rich. Are you going to be the great person and give away your pants?
I'm giving away my shirt.
Okay.
I'm giving away my shirt where they're going to fasten...
No, so society dictates that one of these 50-50 scenarios is a lot more acceptable than the other. No shirt with pants, we see that all the time. Shirt with no pants, you're poo bearing, you still get
I was just about to say.
See, that's what I'm saying. So both of us will have fastened. I will have normal pants. He will have fastened temporary emergency pants, basically, out of my shirt.
I will say I find it much more
How many minutes are we into this podcast right now?
We're 6 minutes in. And I'm going to say this. If this show started with Kyle walking around with just a shirt and no pants through Seattle...
Again.
I'm 100% in. I'm 100% like, I need to know everything about this word. Oh my God. Well,
Niles, I seem to have lost my pantaloons.
Well, Rich, thank you for that wonderful question of the week. Let's talk a little bit more about Kyle XY, and we'll kick it off with the synopsis. A family takes in a formerly institutionalized teen savant who is missing standard human behaviors, such as anger, joy, and love. We are completely just like saying, what if AI wrote this description based off of everything other than the first 5 minutes of this show?
Have you guys been seeing the horrible Google AI synopses that they've been making for these searches now that Google has transformed from search engine to AI search engine? This is the Google description of how do I write a teen comedy about aliens or a teen drama about aliens.
No, teen comedy.
to take us completely off the beaten path, depending on when you listen to this, if you search how to deal with depression on Google right now, one of the suggestions from AI is to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, according to Reddit. So, I would say trust Google very lightly in these times right now. But Max, I'm curious. You heard that description. That has nothing to do with what we watched. How did this show get made?
Today, we're talking about the pilot of Kyle XY, which aired on June 26, 2006 on ABC Family. Are we talking about the show's creators, Eric Bress and J. Mackye Gruber, a little bit? This is actually their first foray to television. They're best known as screenwriters, having helped Final Destination 2 and writing and co-directing the 2004 horror flick The Butterfly Effect, starring Ashton Kutcher.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
The duo started conceiving this series 7 years before it ever saw the light of day, after a conversation on intellectual development and evolution led to the idea of, what if you could use 20% of your mind instead of the usual 7%, according to executive producer David Himmelfarb. The show was picked up by ABC Family with a 10-episode order in 2006, and additionally, and this is actually a cool fact, they would rebroadcast the first season on Friday nights on ABC proper as a way to kind of cross-promote it when there wasn't anything new airing in the summer months. Kyle XY represents a shift in cable broadcasting and a break from the norms of scheduling with a summer premiere, a tactic that helped cable networks like USA, TNT, and Sci-Fi find success with shows not facing the stiff competition of traditional network broadcast. In anticipation, ABC Family placed mysterious billboards of Kyle's belly buttonless washboard abs and even, quote, leaked the first episode to iTunes. As an additional
iTunes?
Oh my God.
Oh man, 2006 was crazy.
In an additional tie-in effort, ABC and Touchdown Pictures launched an alternate reality game where players were invited to try to solve the mystery of Kyle's identity. Today's pilot is directed by Gil Younger, who's most notable for helming 10 Things I Hate About You and the Martin Lawrence classic Black Knight.
Okay, well, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to jump in. I hope you boys are as well.
Yeah, I can tell you 10 things I hate about this pilot.
Oh my God. Let's just kick it off, right? So this show very famously starts off with our protagonist, an unnamed teen, what we presume to be a teen boy, naked, waking up in the woods with what I can only describe as embryonic fluid all over him.
Fellas, who among us?
Yeah, we've all had bachelor parties.
There's I hate to say that there's so much bodily fluid that we deal with in this pilot that I was not expecting to at all. But I want to take a quick second and just say the first piece of monologue that Kyle gives us to just give the audience an idea of why you need to run, don't walk to watch this pilot before you listen to this episode. My birth was unconventional at best. My first memory was waking up in the forest like a newborn baby. I had no idea who I was or what was happening. My eyes had no idea what they were seeing. Every sight, sound, and feeling was unfamiliar. I think that would have been a little bit more appealing if our main actor who showed any emotion when saying these things, because this was the most monotone line delivery that ever happened in a sound booth in my entire fucking life.
Also, why does he know English? Can we just talk about this? Like, because this doesn't seem like it's actually. This seems like if he was writing a diary entry like 10 years in the future. It feels so weird.
Rich, I love that you're bringing up the question of why do people in ancient Roman movies speak English rather than speak Italian?
The next time you're way too high on edibles, just think about in Jurassic Park, they had to make up what dinosaurs might have sounded like. Because we don't know. We don't know. There had to be a guy that made up all the sounds of all the dinosaurs. Because we don't know what they sounded like.
Max, I'm curious, what are you thinking about this opening little monologue bit and seeing a very nude man walking around the woods of Seattle, Washington?
I want to give a quick shout out to the person in the wardrobe department whose responsibility was being the slime guy, because they had to shoot this more than one take. So for continuity, you've got to keep slime in actor Matt Dallas, who plays Kyle, to get the slime just right for each take.
Someone got like an IATSE card from just like covering the slime of this show.
Someone spent years working in Broadway wardrobing, learning to do classical period pieces and expert tailoring, so they could be the slime guy on Kyle XY.
So it has been some time since we've talked about the horniest show that we've done on this podcast. And
you say slime guy 3 times.
And I'd like to start to enter this one for consideration, which we can discuss at the end of the episode, maybe. Because not only do we get greeted by slimed up teenager or man playing teenager, we get 2 people having sex in the woods, to which this, unknowing being just starts to watch, almost with joy and with a coy smile. The amount of disturbing coy smiles that happen in this pilot really are something. But then after this scene, we get this show, I have to award it, has some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in my goddamn life. And I know it's 2006.
Are you talking about the backdrop of the cityscape?
I'm talking about the backdrop of the cityscape.
Because I don't think that's CGI. I think that is just a backdrop on a soundstage. This is the most we shot this on a soundstage in Vancouver looking forest I've ever seen.
The other one was the snake, and no, I'm not talking about Kyle's dick. It's ABC Family. I'm talking about the rattlesnake that Kyle first assaults after it's protecting probably its nest, and then we see it scurry away in just the blurriest fashion I've ever seen in my life.
Matt Dallas, who plays Kyle, is actually the second most famous naked person in the cold open of this show, because the guy who is boning in the tent is the first professional credit of one Taylor Kitsch.
Shut the fuck up. That's amazing.
This came out in 2006. It's the same year that Friday Night Lights premiered on NBC. In the span of 1 year, in a couple of months, he went from nameless boning dude intent on Kyle XY to Tim frickin' Riggins in Friday Night Lights.
What a turn. Like that. So let's fast forward a little bit, because I feel like we could do an entire thesis or TED talk about this opening scene, but Kyle is picked up off of the streets of Seattle with, I love the amount of shaky cam that we get in this. I think someone saw it used once and then decided that this is my personality and how I film things forever. But additionally, as we see Kyle get thrown into juvie, we meet our first family of this show, and that is the Trager family. And they got some deep, dark secrets. They're not just this all-American family. The kids are, let's just say, degenerates, and the parents are both the horniest human beings that we've dealt with.
Hold on. It's not the horniest family we've seen on this show.
Oh, you know what? You're right. Seventh Heaven was a little bit hornier.
Heaven, what is going on with that fucking family? But, okay, so I told you guys that I have a 2-word synopsis for this show.
I've been waiting.
I've teased this for a couple days. It's Hot Elf.
Oh my god!
It's Hot Elf.
All right, goodbye everyone. Thank you so much.
If there's 2 words that you could take away from this shit from watching Kyle XY, it's Hot Elf.
I think you broke Max. I think Max is going to have to retire from podcasting after that. That's all he's going to think about.
Oh my god, that is... It's so good. It's so right. It's just like you. Oh my god, this is also the most 2000s shitheadiest little brother role I've ever seen. Like that's an archetype of like the 2000s edgy shithead little brother. But this kid is the most 2000iest shitheadiest littlest brother.
This dude is 40 and 10 at the same time. I have no idea. You know how there's that saying that's like, all these kids with their like whips, their whip smart humor on shows. It's like, yeah, this 8-year-old sounds like a 50-year-old comedy writer.
Rich, pardon me. I thought you said whippets for a minute, and I was like, very different show.
Kyle Oxy.
I know that ABC Family no longer exists, and now what did they rename themselves
They're
as?
Freeform.
Yeah, they're Freeform. I like to think that ABC Family heard Lori Trager speak for the first time, and then said, "We can't be ABC Family anymore. She's talking about genital warts like freely over the phone, as well as to her boyfriend that she just slept with on camera."
I do appreciate that every character in this pilot, every member of the Trager family, Kyle, they all have their kind of stunted emotional arcs they go through across this pilot, and the little brothers is just a quest to get his like porno bag back.
Look, you need an A plot, you need a B plot, and then sometimes you need a T plot.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a double D plot.
So, like, a couple of things that I think this show really wants to do is, like, it wants us to be like, oh, what if we had this higher intellectual, like, being that couldn't communicate, but we heard everything they were thinking in English. And we, like, start to see that, right? We see the juvie situation. We see Kyle get in a fight because of misunderstanding and inability to communicate. And we see the Tragers take him in. But I have to talk about how the mom of the Trager family, pardon me for forgetting her name, just starts sexualizing Kyle from the moment that she sees him. And, like, one of the lines that I have written down was, what is a handsome boy like that doing with a dead man's name? When she finds out that they call him John Doe, which is absurd. And then, like, the gratuitous, like, idea of the guy who's the head of the juvie, like, being like, oh, wait till you see this shit. And he pulls up Kyle's shirt for the no belly
it is
button.
So much better than that. Shout out to Dorian Harewood, who plays Lou on this. Because this is my favorite line in this entire pilot, where he dramatically turns to Mrs. Trager and says, "But there is one more thing you should see." Lifts his shirt and goes, "No belly button."
Also, like, why is that the only takeaway from this extremely bizarre show? Honestly, it would have been better if they didn't do the no belly button thing, because they probably have, like, a more memorable aspect to it.
So we'll talk about in-flight questions later, but 99% of the replies that I got when we put out our in-flight question suggestion, or, like, ask, was, all I remember, no belly button.
No belly button is actually the second weirdest physical trait about Kyle in the juvie scene, though, because when he gets forced to shower, he then has the most perfectly styled hair in juvenile hall. It's the most perfect coif. It is so tousled. It is looking absolutely luxurious while he's in juvie. He did not have access to those styling products in juvenile hall. There's no way. There's not a hair out of place on that
He
man's
lived
head
in slime. That's the most hydrated hair in America.
Oh my God. So, like, Kyle gets taken in to the Trager family, right? And we start to see chaos ensue by having this, what I can only describe as like an alien-like being. Thank you, Rich, for giving us that idea. Or,
You're so welcome.
Human Alf.
Oh,
we see human
I didn't come up with Hot Alf. We described who came up with Hot Alf.
Oh my God. We get to see what Alf is like in the suburbs of Seattle, and like the chaos ensues, like just walking into some random stranger's home who's playing piano because it's quote unquote the most beautiful thing he's ever heard, as well as just the things that go on in this show. I'm perplexed, and I don't know what y'all were thinking of seeing some of the ways that I think the writers genuinely were like, what if we never said no to an idea and we only said yes?
And what if the writers also used gratuitous language about, slurs for people with mental disabilities and things like that?
Like,
yeah. Hey, it's 2006. We're all still... I don't know.
I mean, it was flying left and right in 2006.
Yeah.
But it's shocking that it's ABC Family, and you think about some of the other shows we've covered from this network that have these real backbones of morality and things like that behind them. And Kyle XY is just letting some real lingo fly all over the place.
Yeah, like as I was speaking to earlier, that phone call that Lori had with her friend about like why she felt icky sleep, or like basically it sounds like getting fingered by another guy at her school after potentially sleeping with someone else. It's utterly insane that someone like there was a censor. There was someone who watched that scene and was like, perfect, no notes, like print it, put it together, cut it, and like let's go. Let's like make sure let's make sure there's a Procter and Gamble ad right after that language, because I'm sure they're going to be pumped about that sponsorship.
This whole show is like, I feel like I can't remember which came first, if it was this or Seventh Heaven, but it feels like Seventh Heaven just like, all right, let's drop an alien in here. Let's drop like a increasingly hyper intelligent alien on the show. It's just like I don't really know. Also, like the compulsion of this woman to want to have Kyle in the house and like really fight for him and like is so unearned. Like there's almost no reason except for, unless they're like, oh yeah, she's taking in like trouble cases all the time. That's like her thing. But like, I truly can't tell what's the motivation of this woman.
So rather than talking about every weird thing that happened at the Trager family, I'm going to ask each of you to pick one weird thing that happened during this sequence. Maybe like before we get to the high school party, but like after Kyle first gets there. Is there anything that sticks out to you that you just like were like, holy shit, I can't believe they said yes to this?
There is a back-to-back sequence of dialogue between the two siblings where the daughter says, I was in the next room, it's not like I left him alone with Michael Jackson. And the little brother immediately responds with, we're not running an R-word farm, are we? Those two lines are said back to back at a dinner table.
Oh wait, there was another one too. It was all in like 30 seconds. 1 second. Also, I would just want to backtrack just a hot second that the alpha male at Juvie was named Skeeter. That was very funny to me. Let's see. Hold on. It was it was the R word line. It's like fuck. Also, I'm shocked that neither of you wanted to surprise me with the what is it, the TV Pilot's License Theater read of the best audition line of all time of "What's up, everyone taking stupid pills around here? Juice me."
Rich, you are leaning so far into your camera right now, you look like a shot in Kyle XY. I have never seen people framed closer in my life.
Thank God you brought it up, because every time I see one of those shots where someone's staring directly in camera as if to give that POV, I'm just like, how many shots did it take for that person to comfortably be like, there's no camera there. I know it's right here, like right in front of my nose. But like
you could see the food in Nicole Traeger's teeth when they would frame her.
I will say the thing that really, there's one scene that gave off Oedipus complex that I really did not like, and that was when Nicole Traeger was gardening, and then we previously had seen her husband Stephen go behind her, give her a nice little kiss on the neck while like spooning her. And then we don't see the face of the person, but we soon come to find out it is Kyle repeating the behaviors that he has seen. And Nicole is into it. That's all I'm going to leave. And boy, did I get the ew. I want to turn it off, but I have to finish because this is my job.
I finally found the other thing that was said at the dinner table in a matter of 40 seconds. The Michael Jackson thing, the R word drop, and also the comparison to the Miracle Worker was also like extremely weird that they did that. Like it just like it lost a lot of. In that exact moment, they lost a lot of goodwill for me because, like, normal American family and stuff like that. But then they're like fucking dropping like roast lines on each other. Like, it's very strange.
It feels very much in the vein of like what I had imagined Final Destination 2 would be, where it's that kind of like edgy, shocking teen horror.
Yes.
And it felt like they were trying to use the same type of jokes that they would in adding like brevity to Final Destination that they were trying to do in this, and they just don't land the same. The other issue for me beyond the dialogue is the pacing on this show is molassesly slow. It is so stuck in a gear that it can't get out of. There's this minor key ballad tracking underneath the entire thing. Everything kind of slow transitions into one another, which is kind of very like early to mid-aughts teen drama anyways. But it's like it never feels like it gets momentum going for me. It always feels like it's just one slow minor ballad transition into the next.
This is a half-hour show at most. This is not an hour-long show. And was like what's the oh God, I forgot the Roger Ebert line of like no good movie is ever long enough, no bad movie is ever short enough. This is way too fucking long.
I have two notes in that like sort of summarize my thoughts on this, and I was like, first one was, congratulations ABC family, you somehow created the version of a time machine where everything slows down. And then the second one was longest 42 minutes of my life, everything done was in real time, rather than like, when you see an eating scene normally in a movie, it's like, okay, we don't need to see them fully eating. We don't need to see someone fully going to the bathroom. We don't need to see, there are things that can be cut out and that the audience understands happens. And, when Kyle walked home from that, let's talk about the high school party.
I was going to say, we can't just skip over this high school party.
We have to.
I don't even know what point in the show we're at anymore. I feel like we have so much to dissect.
We are jumping around, but I don't care because this plot makes no sense. So Lori was supposedly grounded, supposed to not go to this high school party that she was invited to. But you know what? Lori's a little bit of a rebel, y'all, and she is going to go to this high school party. She's going to bring a 6-pack of beer with her, even though she's served a beer immediately by a friend who's at the party. Which
the nicest cups I have ever seen at a high school party. Are they drinking out of Chinette? No, get some red Solo cups like the rest of us.
Oh my god.
They were worried about getting sued by the Solo company.
But not only is Lori attending from the Trager household, it is also Kyle who is attending from the Trager household. You know, the guy that presents the communication level of a 1-year-old parrot. And immediately my dude is shotgunning a beer. I've never seen someone be served a beer shotgun style from someone else rather than doing it themselves. And
I will give Kyle credit, though. He clears that shotgun with ease.
And then he also clears it out of his body with ease in another disturbing human liquid situation.
Yeah, here's another part of that is just like, okay, so this guy lands in the Pacific Northwest with he doesn't even understand how to piss. and by 20 minutes in, he is speaking English. It is so insane to me that this is like, I have no idea where the fuck this is going.
Well, Rich, we skipped over them doing studies on him. They discovered that he uses more brain capacity than anyone in existence.
So?
I just like the thing that I love the idea of them saying like, oh, he learns by visually seeing someone else do something, right? Like,
yeah,
or he has to experience that. Like, yeah, he's very much a mimic.
It's limitless, but if Bradley Cooper pissed himself in that movie instead of A Star Is Born,
I like Hot Elf more, and we're gonna stick with that. But like the thing that I just had in the back of my mind was like, okay, if he learns how to do everything by seeing someone do it first, we never saw him learning how to go to the bathroom by him just like being a peeping Tom and like watching Bruce take a piss. Like we almost got the like we skipped over the masturbation scene that almost happened in the middle of this pilot.
Yeah, I truly have no idea how old that kid is supposed to be, but I'm like, this feels weird. This feels this feels weird for us to be even acknowledging this.
And then, like, not only do we see that Kyle can't handle his beer, because we get just a shot of, like, I did not need to see the puke chunks on the ground, but, like, you know, they had the
puke guy and the slime guy got a lot of money.
They had the slime guy on set, and they were like, can you make puke? And he was like, that's a different union. And so...
Oh god, the Vomit Guild of America.
But we get this scene that, like, I think that this show is constantly trying to prove that, like, oh, Kyle's different. Like, Kyle isn't just your regular, like, guy that's mute and lost in the woods. And we get this, like,
the normal kind. he's not that kind of guy.
But like, we get this scene where the cops are busting this high school party. Lori is being singled out as being the only one arrested at the party, and then rather than, you know, arresting the guy that's on the ground, like passed out, that was Kyle. And I have to ask. We get this Cop versus Kyle scene. Cop being played by a recognizable face of Kevin Durand, who's been in like a ton of movies and stuff like that. But I'm curious from your two perspectives, was this scene necessary? And two, what did you think of Kyle's moves?
Let's get into the TV Pilot's License legal corner. And just say... If you are confronted with a situation where you're about to get arrested, you can have hand-to-hand combat with a cop. And if you best them, they will have to leave legally.
Every high school has a guy who shows up at the party, shotguns a beer, pukes on himself, and then tries to fight the police.
But this time, they won.
This time, Kyle was successful. But also, like, that little moment, I was just like, you know, it's a tale of the times when you see the cop, like, go for his gun and then, like, think about it for a second. And I was just like, oh, this isn't realistic at all. Like, this
Do you remember that scene in The Matrix where the guy comes in and he just pops his head and he's like, Morpheus is fighting Neo? And like, that was like...
I'm willing to believe that the cop would put his hand on his gun and think better when he sees everyone staring at him. I do not buy for a second, though, that the cop would just shrug and slowly walk away from the situation entirely and call the whole thing off. Kyle is getting tased. Kyle is getting taken to the ground.
Oh my god.
Also, he doesn't really know what fighting is, and not that the cop would know that, because he doesn't know that he's like, I don't know, dealing with they say it in the pilot, but like an autistic alien, basically.
Yeah, like the thing that I think, I know that we talked about what the producers, writers, the showrunners thought when they made this show, but I couldn't help but think when we saw that scene of like Kyle won. Kyle defeated the police single-handedly, and then he's walking off in the misty Seattle holding Lori.
Yeah,
and
when
like
did she
I was
fall
just
asleep?
Like, I guess after the cop let her go. Those cop powers of just, if they touch you, you fall asleep. But like they had to have been like, oh, this is like Frankenstein's monster right now. The monster is carrying the girl.
Superman and Mary Jane.
Oh yeah, like it's just it's one of those like things where I was just like, this is we don't need to see this. We can just see him pick her up and then like we cut to the next morning sort of thing. But
and
fuck
it's
me,
the
right?
first of 6 or 7 endings they try to shoot.
Oh my god!
Wait, okay, I'm so glad you said that, because if I'm writing this pilot, there's no way that I'm not ending this with his first question that's in like, or his first like actual line of English that's not mimicry.
Mm-hmm.
That's the obvious ending. That's the best needle drop point. This is the best like blackout moment. It's like everyone at the dinner table being like, "Oh my god, he can talk now." Like,
that would have been a great ending too.
Right?
Like it would have also been the funniest fucking ending if he said "juice me" and then
not that part.
if he said "juice me" at the dinner table and we went to black, I would have been like, I'm watching 20 more episodes immediately.
Is everyone taking stupid pills around here?
That would
cut to black.
Fucking way this show could have ended.
And just the sickest needle drop you've ever heard.
It's Nookie Blade.
Oh, what's the... Let's get it started by the Black Eyed Peas seems seems like the flavor for this one.
But the version before the radio edit.
Yeah, before the radio edit is my plan.
What was the number one song in 2006? Mr. Brightside?
Oh, God. Well, like, our pilot sort of ends with the idea of Kyle is questioning what he is. Kyle is trying to figure out, with the help of the Tragers, of like what is real life. And we see Kyle playing basketball, right? Which, out of nowhere, pretty sick release on his shot. I gotta give him credit. But then we just get this random zoom out of the house as if like, okay, well, that's it. Like, on this edition of the X-Files, like, that's our show.
You skipped over like 5 other alternate endings in this. we get
Tell me your favorite one.
I have to. How can I choose? You get Kyle's dramatic "What am I?" speech with the mob talking about like what makes a human. The daughter refers to Kyle as a short bus kid while hungover with her best friend the next morning. They go back to social services and we see a dramatic, sketchy man we haven't seen before sitting in a pickup truck with a folder on Kyle. How that's not your ending, I have no idea. When you introduce an antagonist like that, that's such a dramatic cliffhanger they can do. But nope, Kyle also has to fix his dad's computer, discover that he can read binary. Also, coding is not going to fix a computer that is sparking and on fire.
Yes, it will. You don't know anything about computers.
We have to wrap up the most important loose end in this entire pilot. Kyle has to find the little brother's porno bag and return it to him. And then they've got to shoot some hoops, all while a knockoff of Explosions in the Sky, because they couldn't get the rights to that, even though they wanted the Friday Night Lights movie music so badly for this pilot.
Max, you're so right. This pilot actually should have been 3 hours long.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This should have been a true USA Network hour and a half pilot for sure. Well, that is this pilot, unless, Rich, you have a secret sixth ending that you would like to talk about.
No, I think we've covered them all.
But I would like to jump into, were there any things that you loved about this pilot that maybe you'd like to give more shine to?
Oh boy, did I even write anything down that I liked on this
Oh
one?
no, Rich.
Wait, yes I did. Okay. The line when the dad is explaining not to touch a hot soldering iron of this being is a superior communicator. Why doesn't everyone else just talk why does everyone else talk in such an inefficient manner? It was so goddamn funny. While this dad was very clearly silently saying, "Ow, ow, ow, don't touch."
That is the only moment I have down of things that I loved about this pilot.
I really laughed at that, and then that was truly lovely.
Max, what about yourself?
Filming this show in Vancouver and having it take place in the Seattle area makes the pilots we shot in Canada in January that take place during the summer phenomenon a little less drastic, because it's still pretty cold and gray. I also like the recap montage of the episode over the end credits, because I didn't have to watch it. I could have just watched the credits and gotten the full recap of the pilot.
Max, you're missing one of the other big recaps, which is when Kyle says that he is scared of everything, and we see nearly 99% of the pilot happen in a matter of 30 seconds, which further proves my theory that ABC Family does, in fact, have access to time machine machinery. I'm now a little bit more excited to ask you, what are your wait a minute moments?
Oh boy, how do we cover something that we haven't already covered?
I'm going to start with mine. My wait a minute moment didn't happen in this show. It happened while watching this show, because I was watching this show with my wife, to which she exclaimed, "I loved this show" when it was on TV. And then I just paused the TV and I stared at her for 30 seconds.
Look, were we 15?
Said, "What?" And that was it. And then I learned, my wife was about 13 when the show came on. And I was just like, you know what? That is the audience for this. We're not thinking too much about plot. We're not having questions about filmography. And the idea of a sexy guy without a belly button is hitting all of the right chords.
I will say right now that one of the reasons that we do this podcast is because we realize that none of the shows from our teenage years held up even a little bit. Pretty Little Liars doesn't hold up. Fucking Kyle XY doesn't hold up. Seventh Heaven. Any of these, I'm missing a ton of shows right now, but none of them face any little bit hold up to even a little bit of scrutiny, even 5 years afterwards.
Yeah, this is just one of those. I guess, Max,
Gossip Girl.
What is a wait a minute moment for you? Maybe one that you'd like to honor.
Just two really quick. First, the language in the pilot of Kyle XY makes Entourage look like Little House on the Prairie.
Hell yeah.
And the one thing, even when the shows aren't great or they're campy or they don't hold up, a lot of these teen dramas at least have one or two bangers in the soundtrack where you go, oh man, I remember that song. I love that song. From Dawson's Creek to Pretty Little Liars. The hardest drop in the palette of Kyle XY, the only song that remotely slaps, is Pachelbel's Canon in D. That is the only song that even remotely slaps in this pilot.
You know what? I will say, I really love the moment of the thought of someone experiencing music for the first time. I feel like that's a cool. There's an episode of Doctor Who. It's one of the only ones I've seen actually, where he is with Vincent Van Gogh, and they go forward in time to his museum. Because, the whole thing on Van Gogh is he is very mentally ill and basically was unappreciated while he was alive. And they had this really nice moment of him going to a museum featuring only works of his own art and seeing people appreciate him 120 years afterwards. This is a very nice moment. I really like the, oh my God, this is what music is, and begins to cry. And it's I think the description was it's mathematics mixed with what is it, passion or something like that? I can't remember.
It was something of the sort, and that I would agree that was a Nice-ish.
He had to commit a B and E and stalk a girl to get there, but
Hey,
6 to 1, half a dozen to the other.
He's hot. It doesn't count.
It was just an entering. The door was open. He didn't break anything.
Your Honor.
Back into Rich's legal corner,
If you best a cop and if you don't open the door, you're good to go.
Rich, do you have any other in-flight questions? Or, excuse me, do you have any other wait-a-minute moments?
Actually, I realized I have two. Okay. So he woke up naked in the woods and almost immediately finds himself into this, guides himself into the city. That's pretty crazy. It doesn't, how far into the woods was he? Was it just like a municipal park? Also, he is slimy, does not know how to take care of himself, cannot speak, does not understand what's happening around him, mimics other people, and doesn't even know how to piss. And his hair is perfect. Why is his hair perfect? He should be so sloppy.
We've established it. It's the slime.
It doesn't just stay that way. It's blow dried.
Well, we do have one more question, and that is an in-flight question. If you want to submit an in-flight question to us, we usually look for those or ask for those right before we record, so follow us on Instagram. But you can also shoot those to us by calling 213-290-1713 and leave us a voicemail. Our in-flight question this week: Kyle was famously missing his belly button. Other than your belly button, what body part or feature would you willingly part with and hopefully go unnoticed?
Go unnoticed.
Okay, if we're talking going unnoticed, I think I'm going Ken doll mode and not the way you think I'm going to go with this.
Oh my God.
And I'm getting rid of my kneecaps because I think that I can kind of cowboy. Listen, if I wear some baggy pants and I can kind of cowboy walk my way around, people will just think that maybe I threw my back out and they won't be suspicious that I don't have kneecaps.
What?
I'm going to have real fun putting that on the TikTok.
What?
Rich, what body part or feature would you willingly part with?
I don't know, one ear? I mean, Jesus, it'll go noticed, but I don't know. You could probably be okay with one ear. I don't know. This is such a hard question.
I was thinking about this, and I was like, Adam's apple. The Adam's apple is the one thing that I was just like, if you just saw, literally looked at someone and you didn't notice an Adam's apple, I don't think you're going to be like, oh, J'accuse, you're an alien. You're going to just
Can I just go with my appendix then?
Yeah, go for it. That is your spleen.
Kyle, this man clearly is from space. He has no tonsils.
Oh my God. Well, thank you for that in-flight question. I think we debunked it. But let's talk a little bit more. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about the history of this show. So Kyle XY had 3 seasons and 43 episodes. Fun fact, when I was looking up the history of this show, I found out that one of the production companies was just called Kyle XY Productions, which seems like a scheme. It seems like a little bit of a money laundering situation.
Based in Bermuda.
So, as noted, the show stopped at 3 seasons, but there were plans
honestly, kudos for making it to 3.
10 more episodes because... As Max and I were talking about, the way that the show orders went for this show were interesting because, you had your first season, then you got an order for 23 episodes, and then you got an order for 10 episodes, and then the show stopped. So we were seeing diminishing returns for every episode that happened. But if you are curious about what the writers' plans were for the final season, you can actually buy the Season 3 DVD, which features Kyle XY Future Revealed, because it sounds like it ended on a cliffhanger. The series premiere is where the show topped off as far as viewership at 2.8 million viewers. Keep in mind, this is cable, ABC Family, so we're not expecting big booming numbers.
Summertime, too.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on against it. Rich, I know you were worried. There are 5 DVDs for 3 seasons of this show.
I was so worried.
There are multiple DVDs of season 3. that have different features. So like they were like, oh, not only do you want the 10 episodes, but you want the background, or like you want like behind the scenes, and then you want the one where they reveal the future, and they sold them separately because fuck you.
Taylor Swift has nothing on Kyle XY DVDs.
So this is the part that surprised me the most. This show got 11 award nominations and won one award from the TV Critics Association for Outstanding Achievement in Children's Programming, in which it beat out Dora the Explorer, ABC Family's Lincoln Heights, SpongeBob SquarePants, and something called Johnny and the Spirits in 2007. And all I can say is, TV Critics Awards, shame on you. That there's no way this beat out SpongeBob SquarePants. Who were you taking money from on the low? But that is the history of this show, and I think that should remain the history of this show without giving too many spoilers about my future answers to some questions. Rich, what is your game of the week?
Oh boy. So obviously the one memorable part about the show is that this guy has no fucking belly button. Who knows why? We'll probably figure it out at some point. So I have like a couple weird body facts that I have some trivia questions about. I'm going to make you feel really uncomfortable in your own skin. Anyways, you guys can both jump in on these. There's 3 questions as normal. The entire surface of your skin, every bit of it, is fully replaced every A, 1 month, B, 6 months, C, 1 year, D, 2 years.
I'm going to say B, 6 months.
I was going to also say B, 6 months, but for the fun of it, let's just say 2 years and see what happens.
It is 1 month. You go through like several thousand. Oh no, I'm sorry. You go through about 1,000 regenerations of your own skin in an average lifetime. Here's another creepy one.
I hate it.
I don't. That's the end of this podcast. Actually, we just
like
have to
as
contemplate
a whole.
something.
Like, this is the note that we're at.
Rich just ended the podcast forever.
This is my silent minute-long dinner at the end of Kyle XY Pilot. All right. Your bones are fully regenerated, like the creepy wet ship of Theseus we are, every A, 5 years, B, 10 years, C, 15 years, D, 30 years.
I'm going to stick with B, 10 years.
I'm going to say 5 years.
It is 10 years. This means on the average lifespan, we go through 7 or more full skeletons.
What do we do with the other ones? What do we do with the other ones?
Where do the other bones go?
They're piling up in my garage. Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. One little bit of belly button trivia. Which fact about the belly button is false? A.
Oh no, I don't like this at all already.
Your spine and nervous system location make it feel like you have to pee when you touch your belly button because your brain mistakes it for your bladder. B. Every single mammal has a belly button except for marsupials and platypuses. C. The choices doctors make in the delivery room. Oh, Jeff is gone.
Jeff left. Jeff's gone.
It's the Jeff left episode. Put those headphones back on. I'm not done with you.
Oh no.
C. The choices doctors make in the delivery room to remove the umbilical cord in a specific way make for an innie or outie belly button. D. The belly button was illegal to show on U.S. TV until 1983.
I'm going to stick with Old Faithful, and I'm going to say B, because I've seen a lot of mammals, and I haven't seen their belly buttons.
I'm going to stick with B as well.
B is true. Every single mammal has a belly button. No matter what size or how visible it is still there. Except for marsupials and platypuses.
Can I try to give the other answer, if possible?
Yes.
All right, so we have 3 other answers, Max. I am going to say it is A then.
That is also true.
No.
When you push on your belly button and it makes you feel like you have to pee, it's because your belly button is in a location on your spine that your nervous system mistakes for your bladder as well.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is C. The choices doctors make in the delivery room to remove the umbilical cord in a specific way make for an innie or outie. There's a lot of people who thought that there was, if you cord it or cut it in a certain way, it would make for a innie or outie belly button. You can also have a type of hernia, basically, that forms an outie belly button that normally heals by the age of 2. And D, the belly button was illegal to show on U.S. TV until 1983. It's a bit of a red herring because you think of I Dream of Jeannie, but if you think of I Dream of Jeannie, her belly button is actually legally covered the entire run of the show. So it wasn't legal to show a bare midriff like that until 1983 on US TV.
Well, Rich, thank you, I guess, for that game of the week.
You're so welcome.
Well, our flight is coming to a land, but before we go, I have 2 questions for you both, I guess. I don't know. I think we all know the answers to them, but fuck it.
No.
The first
I'm answering no.
Max, the first question that I have for you is, based off of this pilot, would you continue watching this show? And then the second one is, do you hate yourself enough to think this show should be rebooted? And I'm going to just leave it at that.
Say yes, Max.
So for the first one, I'm going to give a little asterisk to something that we said on Riverdale, which is I want to watch the last episode of this show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to watch episode 2. I want to watch episode 43 and know nothing else in between. But no, I don't think I would regularly continue to watch this. And I just don't think this show needs to exist or re-exist in some way, shape, or form. There's also been a lot of other things that have been Alien or whatever Kyle is trying to blend in with normal society, and we don't need it. We don't need it.
Rich, would you like to add to your answer of no?
No, stop it. Kyle N.O.
Oh my god. And
Kyle
then...
XY.
Title of that.
Oh my god. For myself, yeah, you know what I would love to do is just watch or read a synopsis or one of those 15-minute YouTube videos where someone's like, this is the entire plot of this show in 15 minutes, and just see where this goes. Very much in this vein that you said, Max. I did see that an actress that I really enjoyed, Jamie Alexander, is in this before she was in Thor. So you know what? I'll watch that. I'll watch Jamie Alexander in this show as Jesse XX, which gives me the clue that there's more than just Kyle out there.
No, I only care about Jamie XX from the band The XX. I just want lo-fi electro beats.
Nice.
But yeah, if you're a producer and you look at this show and you're like, I want more of that or knew that, just, go do something else. Go do anything else and don't make that decision. But that is our flight. But as we come to a land, gentlemen, I'd love to hear where folks can find more of you. Rich, where can folks find more of you?
You can find me pitching Hot Elf, and you can also find me on Instagram at Damn That's Rich. You can find original sketch comedy from myself and Max at Dadwagon Comedy on both TikTok and Instagram.
Max?
You can catch me shooting hoops in your neighbor's driveway. You can find me on all things social media at Maxwell Sig.
And you can find me looking for pornos in your trash for you. I'm doing it just for you. But if you are looking for me on social media, you can find me at Run Jeff Run. If you're looking for the TV Pilot's License, you can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Make sure to like and subscribe and give us reviews anywhere you find us, because it really does help out the podcast as a whole. If you have a question about the show or for our next episode, you can shoot us an email at tvpilotslicense@gmail.com, or make sure to give us suggestions or in-flight questions at 213-290-1713. 3. Watch out for our Instagram. We like to give some sneak previews of some of the shows that we have coming up. So, you never know what's up next. But with the plane landed and the seatbelt sign off, we look forward to flying the bright skies of the TV world with you again soon. And until then, juice me.